Hi everyone, it's Fiona here from fionamarks.com, and I am back with the series around paradigm shifts and between life coaching and astrology coaching or Vedic astrology coaching. And we are focusing on the theme of change, that in life coaching, we love helping clients change, and that clients come here full of just absolutely fed up and had enough of their suffering and want to change. That is life coaching bread and butter. And astrology, Vedic astrology, is asking us to take a breath here and learn from these placements in your chart that might feel like they're causing pain or suffering or discomfort, but perhaps are part of a curriculum that we're learning. Perhaps they have gifts to share with us. And you remember that the photo and quote from that second video, the cave that you fear most to enter has the treasure that you are so desperately searching for. And in our rush to change, perhaps we are missing the treasure. So we're going to now, in this series from now forward, look at some of the signposts in your chart that might be pointing to discomfort or suffering. And we're doing this to raise awareness, because accidentally we might find these so painful that the slightest whiff of this experience and we're already running towards change. So astrology can help us become objective, look at the pattern, learn from the pattern, and see where we're at then. So the first one we are examining is Ketu. And Ketu is an obvious place for us to start because it is actively depriving us of satisfaction in a particular area. So it works a little bit like this great analogy that I heard over Christmas, which was Ketu's a little bit like how you feel after you've opened your Christmas presents, that you've been seeing them under the tree and having anticipation of what is in those boxes, and that this will be the best Christmas ever. Perhaps we're talking more your childhood experiences, but I'm sure you can relate. The anticipation, and then when you actually open the present, and maybe it was a great gift, or maybe it wasn't, but regardless of how appropriate the gift was, there is this disappointment that that moment has passed. The looking forward to and the anticipation of what could be, when all the boxes are empty and the wrapping paper's on the floor, that moment has gone. And that feeling, not the Christmas presents and not the anticipation, but that feeling that that moment has passed and there's no satisfaction that can come from that anymore. That's Ketu. So Ketu can bring good things and can be in a good placement and might work well with the planets that it's with, but the underlying feeling is that lack of satisfaction, that, it's gone, it's happened, it's past. So can you remain still while you feel the agony of your Ketu placement? Is it okay with you that there is an area of disappointment in your life? Can we not run away from that? Can that not provoke action, but instead just be? And when we can be with that, we get to choose the next step rather than reacting. It can be a little bit like when we come at life from the perspective of coaching, or maybe this prevailing self-help time that we've grown up in. It's a little bit like we're addicted to sugar. We just want the next hit and the next excitement, and we want everything to have that sweet flavor. We want everything to be sugar flavored. And the chart is deeply nuanced and deeply rich. And of course, it has sweet things. All charts have sweet things in them, which is wonderful. But all charts have all flavors, and that is balanced, and that is natural, and that is good digestion. To only digest one flavor in Ayurveda, if you think about the Ayurvedic way of understanding digestion, we would not be able to digest food because each part of the stomach, the small intestine, the liver, the gallbladder, the large intestine is stimulated by different tastes. And if we only had the sweet taste, that peristalsis, that wouldn't work. We wouldn't be able to draw the food through the body. So let's embrace some of the other flavors, the unctuous flavors and the bitter flavors in our chart as being valid, and how healthy it is to have those tastes on our taste buds and in our life. So to learn how to be still while you're feeling the agony of your Ketu, we want to get to know your particular Ketu by sign, by house, by conjunction if it's with any other planets, and perhaps even by Rashi aspect. And we want to look at, for this Ketu, from Ketu's perspective, what is the sixth house from that Ketu perspective? Because that's going to be those obstacles and enemies and difficulties. What is the fifth house from Ketu? That's the house where we can make dynamic change. What is the 10th house from Ketu, where it's going to be activated? Get to know from Ketu's perspective the lay of the land. And let's also have a look by dignity at Mars in the Navamsha, because Mars has a directional role with Ketu. It's like the army general for Ketu, and how it feels, how Mars feels in the Navamsha, gives us a hint as to how this Ketu journey will feel for us at the end of the day. Now, you need to do that for your chart or the chart that you're looking at, but let's, to give it some meat, let's go have a look at Prince Harry's chart, because we have that up on the blog. So it's a good place to, we already have the background information if you want to go have a look. So just to orientate ourselves to this chart, we have a Capricorn ascendant here. And you will see that Rahu and the moon are together in Taurus. There's a whole lot of space. We've got Mercury and the sun in Virgo, Venus in its own home in Libra. And then we have Saturn and Ketu here in the 11th house, and Mars in the 12th house. So if we look at this person's Ketu by house and by sign, we can see that Ketu is in the sign of Scorpio, the natural 8th sign of the zodiac. And this puts the Rahu Ketu axis on that second sign, 8th sign, which is the axis of resources, whether I'm responsible for my resources or whether I'm dependent on other people's resources. And with Rahu in the second sign, there is that exploration of being responsible for my own resources, finding my own path to resources and responsibility. And Ketu in Scorpio is indicating that the dissatisfaction, the presents that we've already opened that are now just scraps of paper on the floor, that we cannot recreate that hope and buzz and anticipation of the presents, that withdrawal, that disappointment is in relation to other people's resources. So being supported by others. It's something that we haven't expertise in karmically. But in this lifetime, we're not going to gain satisfaction from that. And that is backed up by the house placements, which are Rahu in the 5th house, Ketu in the 11th house. And here is the access of belonging and stepping out on my own. So the 11th house of large organizations and networks and older siblings and colleagues, older colleagues and older peers, mentors. And the 5th house of stepping out on my own, creating my own legacy. So here we see that Ketu is going to deprive satisfaction from belonging to the big group. It's something that feels natural to us and it's a comfort zone, but we're not going to feel fulfilled in that area. And the agony of being in your comfort zone, but getting ever decreasing returns, knowing that there's just not enough there. Can we feel that agony? And in Prince Harry's chart, we have not only this taking place in Scorpio, but we have Saturn there as well, which is significant on a couple of levels. One is Saturn is another one of the planets that we're going to go looking for to feel agony. So it's right there, already there. And it's the ascendant Lord, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So the ascendant Lord has gone into this house of pain, that is giving ever diminishing satisfaction from other people's resources and from large groups and institutions and from older siblings. And how do we see that that is in fact occurring in Prince Harry's life, that he's born into other people's money? You know, wouldn't we all love to be born into so much wealth and security financially, resource wise? And yet he's getting no satisfaction from that. And he's born into an institution that is perhaps among the oldest in Western Europe, perhaps, or certainly a very long-standing institution. And he's born into a role relating to his older brother, the 11th. And that role is constraining and provides less and less satisfaction. So for this person, what an agony is that 11th house. And can we be still with that fate, that this is the experience that I was destined to have? I am breathing and experiencing the pain of this placement. I don't have to fight out against it. I just have to breathe and understand that this pain that I feel is real, and it's made up of these elements of Ketu, dissatisfaction, and Saturn, also lacking and constraining. No wonder I feel pain. Keep breathing. So you can see, by being in the present of that moment, we can learn from this teacher, experience the truth of this placement, and make steps from this place of stillness if we choose to. Now, the other thing that we can have a look at is in the Navamsha, what happens to Mars's dignity. So in the Rashi chart, Mars is in Great Friend, right there in the 12th house. In the Navamsha chart, it's in neutral. So this shows that the dignity of Mars retreats from being Great Friend through Friend down to neutral. It gives us a hint that this person may feel at the end of everything that their Ketu journey was unsatisfying, that this agony that they're feeling is agony. And that is okay. It's like weather. It's like climate. It's it's like being Norway and expecting to have the experience of Jamaica or something. Let's just accept that this is Norway, which is actually not to say that Norway is agony. I love being in Norway. I think it's wonderful, but it has a very extreme climate. And so we're pulling that as an example that can we accept that and find the beauty in that and find the resources in that and find the true experience of being Norway, without projecting onto it that it should be any different than what it is. We're not trying to heat it up. We're not trying to plant palm trees. We're just exploring snow, and we're exploring hours without daylight, and we're exploring cold. And what beauty is there in that? Because humans have lived in Norway for a very long time, beautiful humans with beautiful culture. So there is something here for us when we accept it just exactly as it is. So, how does that uh, relate to your own K2 and your own agony? And how healthy is it that astrology just puts that front and center, that there is going to be a place of dissatisfaction in your chart? So, just breathe out any expectations that your whole chart should be amazing and you should be successful in all areas. There is somewhere in your chart where you're going to feel dissatisfied, and that is important. That is as it should be. And there are gifts for you in that placement if we sit with it and accept it in the way that all people have areas of disappointment. And this is mine, and I'm going to get to know it. So, if that is of interest to you, if you want to follow up the Harry blog, we have the 11th house there. It's a really interesting house to have a look at because the Ascendant Lord is there as well. So feel free to read more about that. And we've got Megan as well. Her K2 is in the 8th house. And so here we can explore as well this 8-2. Isn't it interesting? They both have the 2-8 paradigm and they both have the 5-11. Let's just bring up, just so you can see her chart. We've got Rahu in the 2nd house, K2 over here in the 8th. So we've got that similar energy, and it's on the axis of Leo, the 5th sign of the zodiac, and Aquarius, the 11th sign of the zodiac. So Megan and Harry share a similar Rahu Ketu journey. And for Megan, we can see that her 8th house placement shows that previous comfort in being supported by others, other people's money. If you read the blog or look at her life history, her father won a state lottery, and used that money to pay for her scholarship. She had a semi-private education. And of course, she married into all this other people's money. But we can also see the discomfort with that because it's not somewhere where she's happily rested. It's when she speaks about her education, she talks about putting herself through school, which she also did. That's the part of the story that resonates with her, and we see that with Rahu in the 2nd. There's that drive to be independent, and then having married into enormous privilege of other people's money. Very quickly, she's moved out of that and is back into generating her own resources. So that's her 2-8. And on the 5-11 of the Leo and Aquarius, once again, the same as Prince Harry, that this continuum of belonging And while there may be a comfort from previous lifetimes in belonging to large groups and to institutions and organizations and older siblings, we can see in this lifetime that she has carved her own path, made her own way, following more that fifth sign Leo energy, and that in fact her older siblings have been a source of quite some dissatisfaction and agony. So in this chart, the same thing that astrology is pointing to, we don't have to run away from that. We don't have to hide from that, be ashamed of that, or make it different. We just breathe and know that this is the case. That is exactly correct. That is how Ketu feels in that placement. So, yes, that's the truth. That's my Jamaica, or that's my Norway, or that's my extreme climate, wherever. Not wishing to offend anyone's climate. Now, with Megan's placement, it's not conjunct another planet, so that keeps it cleaner. And we look at the journey of Mars through to the Navamsha, and Mars is actually improving quite a lot in the Navamsha. Let's just change this over to the Navamsha for you. It is debilitated in the birth chart, but in the Navamsha, it's in friend. So this person may feel that their journey, their Ketu journey, was worthwhile. And how interesting it is, because this is off topic, but because we're here, can't help talking about it. Her Saturn journey, which is the Rahu journey, is not so satisfying. Whereas Prince Harry had the other way around. Rahu was giving more satisfaction, Ketu less. In this way of reading it, we could say that Ketu is giving, it is going to leave this sense of, I did it. I did detach from those things that were no longer providing any satisfaction. So she'll feel empowered about that, and that journey has been worthwhile. So you can read about that in the Megan blog. It's got some interesting dynamics to discuss with her life experience. So you can catch up with that. Oops. You can catch up with that there. And I want you to reflect on your own Ketu placement. How do you feel the agony in your chart? And can you be open to the heartache that is Ketu? You know, Ketu, they say, is pure heart energy. This is the gift that is there for us, you know. Then the treasure that you seek is in the cave that you fear to enter. That can you be open in the heart to the experience of Ketu, and what gifts are you going to find there? I want to hear all of your thoughts about it. And I'll just preview that next video, we will be looking at annihilated houses and how to work out which houses have support in your chart and which houses don't have support. And if that is causing you agony, let's be still and breathe and really comprehend that dynamic. So I will look forward to seeing you in the next video, and hope that you are wishing you all those well wishes for health until I see you next video.